Welcome back to Views with Hughes, agenda-free news. This is Jerome Hughes. Now, let's go ahead and get right into it. So today we're going to be diving into the latest disaster to hit Disney Star Wars show, the Leslye Headland fan fiction, Star Wars The Acolyte. Yes, you heard it right. The finale of Star Wars The Acolyte has officially scored the lowest ratings for any Star Wars series on Disney+. Now, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about the direction Kathleen Kennedy and Leslye Headland have taken this beloved franchise, well, I don't know what will. So why has Leslye Headland fanfiction Star Wars The Acolyte failed to capture the hearts and the minds of Star Wars fans, and what does this mean for the future of Star Wars The Acolyte itself? Well, as you all know, there's been word that there's no plans for season 2. Now, let's start with the cold hard numbers. You see, the season finale of episode 8 of Star Wars The Acolyte managed to scrape together the lowest ratings of any Star Wars season finale on Disney+. Just let that sink in for a moment, okay? Now, this is a franchise that used to break records, that used to bring in massive audiences. Now, but under the leadership of Kathleen Kennedy, we're seeing numbers that are, downright embarrassing. Yes, you've heard it right. Downright embarrassing, especially for Star Wars The Acolyte. Now, make sure you try to go ahead and think about, the legacy of Star Wars. This is a franchise that has been beloved by generations, a franchise that, revolutionized cinema, and even a franchise that has a fan base that spans around the globe. Yet, here we are with the Star Wars The Acolyte from Leslye Headland barely making a dent in the viewership charts. Now, it made number 10 on the Nielsen streaming charts, but how did it get here? How did something so beloved become so irrelevant now? That's something we need to figure out. Now, it's not just about the finale, though. After struggling through 4 episodes that couldn't even make it into the Nielsen charts and stuff, Leslye Headland fan fiction Star Wars The Acolyte finally managed to show up at number 10 at the bottom. Yes, that's right, people. It squeaked in at the number 10 spot, just barely making a cut for a series with a budget of around $200 million. That's a colossal failure right now. So what's actually causing these low ratings for Leslye Headland fanfiction Star Wars The Acolyte? Well, we all know what it is, and let's not be around the bush about it. Star Wars The Acolyte has been a train wreck from the start, and this Leslye Headland show, The Acolyte, promised to explore the dark side of the Force, which sounds intriguing on paper, but the way it was actually executed, the execution itself has been nothing short of a disaster. Now, the writing is weak, as we all know. The characters are flat, and the story feels like it's trying to be too hard to be edgy and different rather than staying true to what makes Star Wars great in the first place, which is what George Lucas created a long time ago. But let's talk about the characters for a minute. You see, Star Wars is known for its iconic characters like Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Princess Leia, Han Solo, Chewbacca, C-3PO, and so on. These characters are with depth, with flaws, with motivations that resonate with the audience. But what do we get from Star Wars Acolyte? Just a bunch of cardboard cutouts who seem more interested in preaching than being in part of a compelling narrative. Now, the protagonist feels like basically a token character instead of we're considered a tick diversity box rather than just a hero that we all root for. Okay, and the story itself, don't get me started with the story. Now, it's a big muddled mess that doesn't even know what it wants to be. Now, is it a political thriller? Is it a dark fantasy? Is it a character study? Now, the show can't seem to make up its mind, and as a result, Disney Star Wars The Acolyte fails on all fronts, and there's no clear direction, no sense of purpose, no reason for the audience to even care. Now, let's talk about what's really telling. The silence around Star Wars The Acolyte Season 2. The announcement for that, we've just had, the D23 Expo, and there was no word on whether Star Wars The Acolyte from Leslye Headland will be getting the second season. And that should set off for like a lot of alarm bells for anyone paying attention. And Disney has been quick to announce the renewals for their successful series. But with Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland, we're hearing nothing but crickets at this point. And you know what? It's not surprising, and this isn't just a fluke, people, but when a series is successful, the studio can't wait to greenlight another season. Okay, now they want to keep the momentum going, keep the fans engaged, and keep the money flowing. But with the Leslye Headland fan fiction Star Wars: The Acolyte, it's like Disney's trying to sweep it under the rug, basically. And you know what? At this point, who can blame them? Just make this into a big tax write-off. And with the ratings this low and fan reception this negative, it's clear that Disney Star Wars: The Acolyte is a liability rather than an asset. Now, given the astronomical cost for this Leslye Headland fan fiction, $200 million combined with these dismal ratings, it's hard to imagine that Disney is eager to pour more money into the sinking ship known as Star Wars: The Acolyte from Leslye Headland. Now, the writing is on the wall, and it's telling us that Star Wars: The Acolyte from Leslye Headland is likely dead in the water. But to really drive the point home itself, let's go ahead and compare the Star Wars Acolyte's finale numbers to other Star Wars shows on Disney Plus. Okay, and here's how they stack up. These are read in millions minutes. Okay, Ahsoka's at 575, Andor's at 674, Obi-Wan Kenobi's at 860, The Book of Boba Fett is at 885, The Mandalorian Season 3 is at 1,012, and The Mandalorian Season 2 is at 1,336 million minutes watched. Now compare that to the Leslye Headland Star Wars: The Acolyte poured 335 million minutes, and it's not just the lowest, it's the lowest by a massive margin. Even Andor, which some fans felt was a bit slow burn, nearly doubled the viewership of Star Wars: The Acolyte. And when you stack it up against The Mandalorian, it's not even in the same league. I mean, 335 million minutes watched. But let's dig into this a bit more. You see, The Mandalorian brought Star Wars back to the forefront of pop culture with seasons 1 and season 2. That gave us Grogu or Baby Yoda, gave us that epic Western vibe, and also gave fans the reason to get excited about Star Wars again. But Book of Boba Fett, actually, I don't want to talk about that. Andor, which was the departure from the usual Star Wars formula, managed to hold its own with a more mature, nuanced take on the galaxy far, far away. I didn't watch it, didn't care too much about it, but a lot of people did. But Star Wars: The Acolyte, it's like this Leslye Headland fan fiction didn't even try to connect with the fans. Instead of focusing on what makes Star Wars special, mythic storytelling, larger than life characters, and epic conflicts between good and evil, it was more concerned with pushing a woke political agenda used by Leslye Headland, and that's where it lost people. You see, Disney's direction with Star Wars is seriously in question right now. And you know what? They've tried to reinvent the wheel with Star Wars: The Acolyte from Leslye Headland. And guess what? It's blown up in their faces with this Leslye Headland fan fiction. Yes, I'm emphasizing on it. And a lack of enthusiasm around the potential Star Wars: The Acolyte Season 2 isn't just, about, The Acolyte itself. It's about the reflection of the broader dissatisfaction with how Disney has been handling this beloved franchise, and at the same time it's got Leslye Headland worried because she's not even sure about the second season. But let's be real. Star Wars used to be about hope, about adventure, about heroes overcoming impossible odds. And it was a story that inspired people, that brought them together, okay, that made them believe in something bigger than themselves. But under Kathleen Kennedy's watch, it's become a platform for divisive, woke, agenda-driven storytelling that alienates the very fans who made this franchise a cultural phenomenon in the first place. And let's not forget, the Leslye Headland fanfiction Star Wars: The Acolyte, where we've seen this trend across the board with Disney Star Wars, and the sequel trilogy left fans divided with, and even the Book of Boba Fett had lukewarm reception, and even Obi-Wan Kenobi, a series that should have been a slam dunk, received some bad reviews. All right. And it's clear that there's a big disconnection between what the Star Wars fans want and what Disney is delivering, thanks to Kathleen Kennedy as well as Leslye Headland. Now, the numbers don't even lie. When you spend $200 million on a series, you expect a return on that investment, not just financially, but with fan engagement and the cultural impact. And Star Wars: The Acolyte from Leslye Headland has delivered none of that. Okay, action figures won't even sell, and it's a flop, plain and simple. A Leslye Headland fan fiction flop, and unless Disney course corrects and starts listening to what Star Wars fans actually want, this isn't going to be the last Star Wars project that falls flat. Okay, so where exactly do we go from here? What does the future hold for Star Wars? Well, it's actually hard to say. On one hand, there's hope that Disney might, finally start listening to the Star Wars fans and return to the core values that made Star Wars great. But on the other hand, when they continue down this path, we could be looking at like a bigger decline of one of the most beloved franchises in cinematic history. And most of the Star Wars fans have already left. But there's already a talk of reset, potential new direction for Star Wars that could bring back the focus back to the stories and characters, but that the fans love. But will it happen? Nope. What's clear though is that the Star Wars: The Acolyte from Leslye Headland is not the future of Star Wars. Okay. It's just a cautionary tale, a reminder that straying too far from what this franchise made this franchise great can be disastrous consequences. And let's not forget about the projects on the horizon, where there's the upcoming Skeleton Crew, the Star Wars Skeleton Crew from Jon Favreau, which Disney is hoping will wash away the bad taste left by Star Wars: The Acolyte. But will it be enough? Will it course correct the Star Wars desperate needs, or time will only tell, but for now, we can only hope that Disney is actually paying attention to these numbers and to the Star Wars fans out there, to the fan reactions, and to the clear message that Star Wars: The Acolyte has sent. This Leslye Headland fan fiction is not what Star Wars fans sign up for, So what do you think? Is Star Wars: The Acolyte the final nail in the coffin for Disney's version of Star Wars, or is there still hope for the galaxy far, far away? Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts you might have in this particular topic. If you enjoyed what I shared in this video, go ahead, smash the like button, share far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already and you enjoyed all the content that I put out there, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell notification so that way you're notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.